Hi guys, welcome back to another crash course. In this crash course, you will learn what is callbacks, promises, async, and await, and why do we have to use them, and which one should we use. Also, I want to give you a brief introduction to all of this as well. Before ES6, people were using callbacks. In ES6, people are using promises. And in ES7 now, people are using async and await. And without further ado, let's get into it. Okay guys, so first of all, you will need to install Node.js, right? So after you install this, then come to the Visual Studio Code. And right here, I created a new folder inside my drive called Async. And what you need to do inside this folder, well, you need to create a file. So right here, I'm going to call this file as the callbacks.js, and the other one will be promises.js, right? Okay, so now let's just try to create data inside here. Let's just add the ID will be the name of the pet. So I'll just call this as Ruby. Also age will be 1, and ID number 2 right here. This will be, I'll just call this as bin. Save it. So we have 2 data inside this array. And next, I will try to create a function called getPet. And here, first I want to just use probably just try to create the set timeout, right? So that we can see how we're going to apply the callback. So inside here, let me just call the pets, and then we'll use the for each because we want to loop through the data here. Okay, so now inside here we have, say, pet, and inside I want to just console log each pet. Okay, so it will look like this. And also right here, I want to give this as 1000 millisecond or equal to 1 second. Okay, so this is the getPet function. Next one will be the addPet. So will be addPet. Take one parameter, which is pet, and okay, so this will be set timeout with the arrow function. And here, this will be pet.push. We just want to push a new pet to this data, right? So this is what it looks like. And for this one, I'll say give this as like 3 seconds. Okay, so now we have that. Let's now just try to call pet function, also with the addPet function as well. Okay, save it. And how do we test this? Click on the terminal and select the new terminal, right? So it will be inside my drive, and to run this, I'll just use Node, and this will be the file name. So it will be callbacks.js, and press on D. Okay, so once enter here, you guys can see we have the data show, right? So this is the data, and the thing is that right here, when I try to add a new pet, it actually does nothing because we have to also provide the pet detail right here. Okay, so this will be the ID. This one will be ID number 3. Name, I'll call this time as Coco, and then the age will be 3. Save it. Try to run that again. And now let's just take a look. So here you can see we basically get the get pad first, right? So get pad call first. But the thing is that even though when I try to call this function after that, the add pad, it doesn't show me the result. So what is the problem here? And just to show you, probably I want to put it after the add pad, right? Probably this working. Let's just try and see. And the same, we still gonna get the expected data that is pushed to this data, and we want to see all of the paths. So the reason here is that because let's just take a look here. You can see that the get paths with the set timeout, it will take 1 second to get this show to the screen, right, to the console log. But the thing is that with the get add path, you can see it takes 3 seconds. So it's in this case, for example, like say if you want to try to fix the data coming from the real server or from the real database, right? And then you don't actually know how long it's gonna take. So this is a reason, or this also cause an issue as well that you can see right here. We expect to also see all of the data after pushing this. So that's the problem that we have to solve. So here, how do we solve this problem? Well, we can use something called the callbacks. Okay, so to solve the issue, first we want to basically run this function first, wait until this one finishes, then we use or try to call the get pad function. Okay, so how do we do that? Well, right here inside the add pad, we want to just use the callback, and under or after the push. So once this pad added to the pads right here, then we want to do something. So right here, I can just use or call the callback, right? So once this is called, then here in the let's just this one comment this one first, and after here the get pad, the callback, we will just call the get pad directly like that. Okay, so it would look like that. And now let's just take a look. So what do we expect from this again? Just quickly recap. We want to add the pad to this data, and once that's done, then we will need to call the get pad, which is the function right here to show us all of the data. Okay, so now let me try to run the callbacks again, and here you can see it wait for 3 seconds, and we can now see the result that we want, which is after adding this data right here, then it shows us all of the data here. Okay, so this is how callback works. So here, instead of like showing all of the data here, I just want to show one, which is the name of the pad. Let's just try to run that again. And here we can see that we have the name of the pad shown here. Alright, so that's one way of writing the async code, and how to also solve the issue of by using the callback, right? So next one I want to show you is to use the promises. Now let's just take a look at how we going to use the promises. I will just try to copy okay, so the data with the functions and stuff into this file called promises.js. So here, instead of using the callback, I want to get rid of this for now. We will turn this into using the promises. Okay, so how do we write the code here? It will be return new with the keyword promised, and here we have two which is the result and reject. Okay, so here we can try to grab everything and paste it in here and save it, so it would look like this. And here we have the push, the same thing. So right now, what do I want to do next is to say I want to just put this as true for now, and in here we can use the reject, and this will be showing the error message, and if not, then we want to resolve this, meaning that it is successful. Okay, so true right here. If it is true, that means it contain error, then it show this error message. Otherwise, it will just resolve, which is pushing the path value or path data into this path right here. Okay, so that's what it look like right now. And to call this, so here we have the add path, and with the ID number 3, name Coco, age here is 3, and down here we have the then, right? So what we want to do in here, we want to call that get path. So once this is done, then it will call the get path. Okay, so we can also have the catch as well. So for now, I'll just try to save and show you this one first. So now to run this, we'll run the node. Instead of callbacks.js, will be promises.js. Run that. So here it tried to basically try to add, right? But the thing is that you can see, we can see the error message which is here. But the thing, there are some more error which is unhandling promise rejection. So what are we going to do now? We can add another one, which is the catch. So what this does, it will, we can just put like the error and console log the error right here. Okay, so save that and try to run this one again. Okay, so node promises.js, and here you guys can see, we can see the error message. So this is how we write the promises. And I just want to write here, so instead of like say true or false, we can just put it into a variable, let's say like false. Then we can put like the error here. So if there's no issue, no error at all, then it will just try to resolve this, and we expect to see the path data, which is right here, along with the other two on top here. Okay, so now let's just try to run it again. Okay, so here you guys can see we have Ruby, we have Bean, and Coco, which is just added after that. So it will run the add path first and then get all of the paths. This is the code how we try to run use the promise, right? Promises. So next one I want to show you is to use the Promise.all. So what do I mean by that? Now let's just take a look here. So let's say if I have multiple promises, right? Not only one, because right here we only have one promise, which is inside the add path. So what if I have like say promise 1, and here I can just type promise.resolve. So instead of like checking whether it is resolve or reject, I just want to give it by default will be the resolve. So the message will say promise 1, and this one here promise 2, it will be new promise, and this time I just have the resolve and also with the reject as well. Okay, so right here I want to set timeout with the resolve, so it means that it's successful. Then I want to say like give it 5 seconds to render this, and the message will be promise 2, and it will be the same for another one. Let's just try to create another one, which is promise 3, and right here 3. I give this as 3 seconds, would look like this. Okay, so now we have 3 promises, and down here I want to use the Promise.all, and we can have the promise 1, promise 2, and 3. Okay, so it will look like that inside the array. And then we can just call the result and quickly show the result to the console log. Okay, so it would look like that. Now let's just save it, and let me also try to comment this one first, because we don't want to have this show as well, only for this part. Save it and try to run that file again. Okay, so here you guys can see we this time instead of running one promise at a time, we run it simultaneously. It almost the same. Right here we have the which is the promise number 1 showing here. This is promise 2 and 3, and if you can see that right here, this one it take the longest time, which is 5 seconds, while the other, this one is only 1 and this is none. And it normally it just we're just looking for the one that take the longest time, and once that duration or timing is done, then it will try to show all of the data. Okay, so if it is like 2 seconds, then it will look for the longest time, which is right here. But if we say like this one will be 6 seconds, then it will try to wait up until 6 seconds, then it show all the result here. Okay, so this is how it works. Now let me try to save this, and next I want to show you. Let's now try to fetch real data coming from the database, right, from the server. So here I open the JSON placeholder, and now let me just try to scroll down. Here we have a few endpoints. So this one will be the user. Let me just try to click on here. So once this is clicked, you can see that this is a list of data, which is 10 users. Now I want to fetch the data coming from this endpoint. So I'll just grab this endpoint, try to copy that, and come back here. The thing is that right now we don't have any node module. So I'll try, we need to install, right? So npm init inside this folder. Okay, so let's just press enter. And package name, version, description, entry point will be callbacks.js by default. Okay, it's just press enter a few times, and this is okay. Yes, so now we have the package.json. Okay, so next, what do we want to do? We will need to install a package. So to be able to fetch the data, then we will need to install npm I, and then the package name. It will be node fixed. Okay, so try to install that inside this folder. Okay, so here you can see that we have the node fix install, which the folder you can see here as well. So once that install, come back to the promises.js, and on top here we will try to use the fix, right? It will be require the node fix we just install. So now we can use this fix, and to run the code here, it will be the, let's just say we have 3 promises by now. I want to add another one, which is promises number 4. So I'll just call this as promise fetch, and use the fetch that we imported here, this one here, right? So fixed, and this will be the URL that I just copy from the website. I need to copy that again right here, paste it here. So this will take the, so after fixing that, this is then it will try to give me the response in JSON format. Okay, so it would look like that. Just quickly save it. So now we have that. Next, just copy that and put it here. And now let's try and run this file again. So node promises.js. Okay, so right now let's just take a look here. We have the promises number 1, 2, and 3, and also with the data which is coming from the API endpoint, right? So we have 10 user right here. And here I can see this is very useful when it comes to use the Promise.all, which we have the ability to try to get the data at the same time simultaneously using the Promise.all. Okay, so next I want to show you is to use the async and await. Okay, so instead of now, let me just try to comment this one. Okay, so here we have the add path, right? So let me just put it like that. So down here, I'll try to create a new function. So this time will be async and await. Okay, so function, let's just say this one, I try to call this as init, and in here I want to have the add path, right, which is exactly the same as I showed you previously. We have the say ID, the name of the path, Coco, and age, which is 3. So here we have that. And what are we going to do? In front of the add path, the function, we can use the keyword await, and also make sure that the function here, it has to have the keyword async in front of it. So will be async and await here. Okay, so this is what it going to look like. And after we call the add path function, then we want to get the get path to see a list of path. Okay, so we also need to run the init here as well. So now let's just save it, and right here we will try to run this code again to see if it's actually working. Okay, so here you guys can see we still get the same exact result, but this time instead of using the promise, we use the async and await, right? So this is what it look like right now. Basically, we add a new path and then we wait, and then it wait, right? After waiting, or after this function finish processing, then it will try to call another function, which is the get path. So it's look a lot cleaner compared to just try to use this, right? Right here we have the then, we have the catch, and this is just look a lot cleaner. Okay, so that's how we try to create the async and await, which is very simple. Alright, so how about if I want to fix the data coming from this endpoint? How do I do it in using the async and await? So now let me try to create a new one here. So let's just say async function, give this as a get user. So here we can just put it in the response variable and await. Okay, and we use the fix. Now let's just copy the endpoint here and paste it here. Okay, so now we have the response. Next we will try to declare in the data, which is the await response.json. okay, and we can then display or try to output the data, and also make sure to call the function as well. So it would look like this. We have two await keyword here. So one is trying to fix here, and we get the response. One, we have the response, then we want to turn it into the JSON format, then again will be the await. once we have the data we want, we will try to display it in the console log. Okay, so now let me try and run it. And here you guys can see we have the, and here it is. So we have the 10 users, and down here we have the pet name because I haven't commented this one out. Okay, so yeah, that how we also try to fix this coming from the actual real API. Okay, so now we have already looked into the callbacks, how this can be used, and also look into the promises. So right here we use the keyword promise, and also we look into how to use the async and await, which is this is the, I would say, the latest technology, right, which is the easiest one to implement. And next one here I want to show you is to probably going back to the callback here, and instead of like having just this simple function, right, I want to have, say, like trying to log in user, maybe try to get list of pets and also get the individual pet, right? So now let's just quickly do that. Okay, so down here let me try to put this, and we start. So whatever we see right here we have already done. This is just like a real world example, right? So if you want to stick to this, feel free to do that. So here we have the say login with the parameter of, say, like email and password, and inside here we still have the set timeout, going to be the arrow function, the console log, let's just say login, like that. And down here it will be the callback, so let's just try to put it here as well. It will be the callback, and here we can basically return the email and also the password. And let's just set this one, take 2 seconds to complete this function, the login function. Okay, so yep, that would look like this. Next one will be, so say if a user already logged in successfully, then we want to get a list of pets. So I think we can just try to grab everything from here. So let's just try to put it here. We have the get pets, and this time we can just put like the user and also the callback. So from here we can have the callback, and let's just say pet.name. Right here, yep, it take 1 second. That's fine with the pet function. So next one will be trying to, let's just save this for now. Yep, and next one will be get the pet detail. Also just want to make sure this one will be get all pets, right, because we have already declared up here. I don't want to just try to cut it here and then put it down here, because in case you want to try to see the code, then it will be easier for you guys. So here we have the get all pets, which is exactly the same as the one which is the get pets, just using the different name. Okay, so here we have the pet, we have the callbacks, and just set timeout. And here we can use the callbacks right here. Probably instead of like getting all of the detail of the pet, right, I just want to say like Ruby is a good dog, and her age is 3, like that. And yep, we have 3 functions defined: login, get all pets and get pet detail. So how do we call this? Well, we can just use the login, which is this one here, and this will require the email, password, and the callback, right? So email, we can just say like my email at gmail.com, password 12345, like that. And here, this is the callback. So which one are we going to call? Well, we right here we can just say user, and this is the callback function. It will be, I want to console log this, right? So console log, say user, and then when we console log that, we want to get to the next one, which is the next function, the get all pets. Okay, so it will be get all pets, and it take two parameter, user and the callback. So it will be user, and then this will be pets. Okay, so we can console log the pets, right? So now we have called the login feature, the login function. We have the get all of the pet showing here. So next one, we can try to get to a new the next one. It will be get pet detail, which is pets, and here we can have the pet, right? So console log the pet out. Okay, so now let's just save that, and here you can see it trying to wrap, so this is like the parent function, right? And then it get into this get all of the pets, and eventually get into the get pet detail. Is like nesting. Okay, so now let's try to run this file, see if it's working. Note it will be callbacks.js, and see if I need to comment anything out first. So we have the add pets here, we can comment this one, otherwise it's going to also show that. So yep, let's just save it and try to run this file. Okay, right, here you guys can see we have the login with the user detail, which is we provide here, and we can also get to the get all of the pets, which is Ruby and the bean, right? And next one here is the Ruby is a good dog and her age is 3. Okay, so here let's see, because all the detail is supposed to only show us one, right? Only one message. The thing is that because right here get all of the pets, we try to loop all of this, right? The pet that we have in the store currently we have 2, so that's the reason why we see 2 of this as well. So how are we gonna fix it? Let's just come back here. We can just come here, then say we want to comment this one and this one as well. So now we use the callback, right? So instead of here the pets, let me also try to comment this one as well, in case you want to come back to see the code again. Let's just copy this, and right here I can just say like pets. It will be the index, so what index I want to show, which is number 1 here, Ruby. Then I can just put like number 0 dot name, so it will just show this as Ruby, not the bean. And then now let's just save it and try to run this file again. Okay, here you guys can see we have the user detail, we have the get all the pet, but the thing is that right here I only just want to show one, which is the Ruby, and next one here is the get pet detail, which is Ruby is a good dog, her age is 3. Okay, so that how we try to implement this. And you can also see that there's very messy code here, trying to get one and another one, right? So nested function inside here. So we don't want to actually write the complicated code like this. So let's just try to come here, the login. So say, what about if there's an error? Because right here, if there's an error, we can't really do anything. So normally we can just try to say something like on success, right? Or on failure when we try to work with the callbacks. So instead of the callback here, we can try to replace it with the on success, right? It would look like this. And the on failure, we will need to again try to use another callback to run the code here, right? So there's a lot of code that we need to write, and it is hard to maintain. So that's why, let me just go back to the callback. That's why we can just come to the promises and try to do the same thing. So now let's just compare the code to see which one is better, comparing between this one here and using the promises. Okay, so now let me try to grab the three functions and copy that and paste it inside the promises here. Let me just do the same thing and paste it here. And I want to comment all of this out. I don't want to have it shown in the console log. So yep, we have three functions inside the promises, and we will turn this into using the promise. Okay, so we don't need a callback anymore. We have the login, and this will then become okay. So now let me try to use the keyword return. The same thing, we have the promise, resolve, and the reject. Okay, so here the arrow function, and we want to cut everything and put it here. So right here, instead of say the callbacks, we just want to use the resolve. Again, you can just try to implement the same thing, which is using the if condition, right? If error and stuff. But then for this one, I just want to show you if we successfully get the value, right? So then just use this. It will be successful by default, resolve. Okay. So yep, it would look like this for the login feature using the promise. And next will be the get all paths. So similar thing, get rid all of the callback. Here we use the return new promise resolve with the reject, and we cut everything, put it here, and just copy the resolve here, paste it here. Okay, so it will be the resolve like that. And so first I want to actually use this, and then we can come back to this one. We just want to loop through all of this. So this one will be the resolve to get like a list of path name, and then we can just, yeah, should be good for now for this one. We have the 1 second. Yep. So next will be the get path detail. So the same thing, get rid all of these, return new promise will be resolve, reject, cut this and paste it here, and resolve will be here. Just save it. Yep, it would look like this. So we have three functions defined using the promise. So next, what I want to do, I want to call the login, right? So I just need to provide the email. We're using the same one. then 1 2 3 4 5 for the password. So here, instead of like calling the callback function, right? So let me just also copy this and try to paste it here, just so that you can compare it. Save it first, comment. Okay, so here instead of having the callback, we use the keyword then. This will be the let's just use the user. Okay, so the user will then call what after the user will be the get all the pets. Okay, so this will then pass the user detail here. So once we have that, next one will be then again. This one will be the pets. Okay, so pets to get the pet detail. So will be pet here. Next will be then, and last one will be the pet, and this time we want to console log the pet data. Save it, so it would look like this. Now let's try and run this to see if it's working. So will be node promises.js. See if we get the expected result. So we have login, we have Ruby, and her age is 3. Okay, so we want to also console log the Ruby. So come back here at the here, the get all of the pets. So we want to console log here, right? So will be the console log pet.name. Yep. So let's try that again. So we have login, we have Ruby, we have Bean, and also this one here as well, which is Ruby's good dog, and her age is 3. Okay, so as you can see here, this looks a lot simpler compared to using the above one here. So this will just call each call back functions, but here we just need to use the then keyword and try to pointing to the each function, right? So this is how we use that. Okay, so let me just open this up again and trying to quickly run this. Right here we can see that we have this Ruby and Bean, right? I just want to have the Ruby shown. So how are we going to do that? Similar to the one that I show you in the callback .js. So instead of like using the for each here, can just comment this one out and trying to use the resolve, and remember to add the console log as well. Will be pets index 0, referring to the Ruby, the dog first one. Okay, and yep, save that. Now let's try to run that again, see if we get that. Okay, so yep, we have login, we have Ruby, and the message which is the get detail. First it tried to go to the login, and then the getting all the pet, in this case only one for now, and the pet detail which is currently showing you here. Okay, so yep, we have that. How about if I want to turn this one here, right, into the async and await? So very simple. Let now just trying to do that. So comment this one first, and we use the function. This time I call this one as display pet. Yep, and here we can try to use the const, declaring the variable, say login user, and here we can just call the function. Okay, so it will be the login, then the email, which is mail.com 1 2 3 4 5, and then here we have the const. Next one will be the path. Okay, so this is how we declare that. And here we have the get all paths, then we use the variable that we get the result coming from the login. Okay, so this is how we define that. And next will be the same thing, will be path. So now let's just try to use the get path detail, and this will be the path which is coming from here. So next one will be console log the path itself. Okay, so that what it look like that. But the thing is that this is just if we consider this as like a simple similar to like the variable assigning the value into variable, right? We just define getting the data, put it in there, and then try to do it one by one. It would look like that. It's very easy to understand and keep track as well. So but the thing is that we have to also turn this into the async and await. Okay, so it will be the keyword async, and in front of the function we have to use the keyword await. Will be the same for this one, and last one await here as well. Okay, so now we have that. So to display this, we use the display paths. Okay, now we can try to run this again. All right, so here we still get the result which is exactly the same as using the promises up there. Okay, so we have the login, we have Ruby, and also the message of the path detail. So here you guys can see this is very simple when we try to use this. And again, just to recap, why do we need to use the callback and the promises? Because say if we try to get the data coming from the actual server or coming through the API, then we want to have that one particular like the endpoint, right, finish all of the process first and then trying to do the other things, right? Otherwise it's going to just keeping showing only the one, say like the previous one we look into here. Say if this one take like 1 second and while the others taking 3 seconds, then it will try to run this one first. But the thing is that we want to have this finish processing first, then we call this. Then that's a reason why we want to use the callbacks and also the promise, and also the using this syntax async and await as well. Okay, I think it's also a good time to try to recap everything starting from here. So say we have the get paths and also the add path, then we want to have this run first, and then we will try to use the get paths. So we also try to show the result here as well. And the promises, before getting into that, let's just take a look here. We have the login, we have all of the paths, and we want to this time only show one path. And here we have the get path detail, which show this message. And inside the login, this is how we use the callbacks. It's like a nested function, right? So we provide the detail here with the user, and we try to console log here, and the get, then we call the get paths. So after this one finished, then we will call another one, which is the get path detail, which is very hard to maintain. Okay, so that's why we use the promises. So with promises, we have the here the function which use the promise keyword with the resolve and reject. Resolve is successful, reject is error. So if there's an error, just we can show the error message here, and if not, it will try to resolve, meaning that it is successful. This case, this is take like 3 seconds. Then we can try to add the call the add function. So after the add function, we want to get the list of paths. Okay, so it's showing here. And if there's an error, then we use the catch error. Okay, and also we look into the promise. Say if we have multiple promises at the same time that we want to run, we will try to say we have all the promises, right? And we want to run at the same time simultaneously. We can just use the Promise.all with the parameter inside this array format, and then we just get the result, which is the result coming from all of these promises. And we also look into the await as well. So async and await, the syntax is very simple. We just need to use declare the async and the await keyword in front of the function. Once that's done, we try to get another or call another function. Okay, and this one here, we also call the init as well, just to have it run. And the get user, this is coming from the actual API. We have the await again, and put it into this variable and turn it into the JSON format, and we try to display it here. And finally, we just call this function to execute. Here we have the login. Okay, we have the login with the promises, and this one as well. Try to render just one path. This one is successful, resolved. With the get path detail, which show this, also resolve. And then this one I just copy it from the callback. Right here we have the login. We just need to use the then, which is the first one here, the get path, all paths, get path details, and also finally just trying to show or display the this one, the message here. Okay, so this is the format, and here you can see that we haven't specified the catch yet. You can also do that here, so it will be like the after then, if there's an error, we can use the catch here. Okay, and then down here we use the async and await. So this will be the login. Then we put it into the variable, the data. Then next one we'll call the get all paths, await until they're finished. Then we get the result here. Next one, then we will use the paths here inside with this get path detail. Then once that finished, we just show the console log to the user, right, to see what is displayed. And this one here we just call the display paths. And yep, guys, I think that is pretty much it for this crash course. So we look into how to use the callbacks, promise, and also async and await. I hope you guys like this tutorial, and if you have any question, let me know as well. And feel free to like this video, because yep, I'm excited to see all of the likes that I get on each video that I made. Like the video if you enjoy watching this, and if you find it valuable, also hit the subscribe button to get more content, to get more crash course like this one. And until then, see you guys in the next video.